Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to place for everything Rocket League with your hosts, K-Cube, AJ Binky, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle K-Cube, and today I'm joined by Red. What's up, man?
What's up? Doing all right. Excited to get another episode going.
Yeah, me too. We finally have some Rocket League to talk about, and not just small tournaments or off-season tournaments, but we have the Esports World Cup, formerly Gamers 8. So we'll give our thoughts and predictions on that. We'll talk about the 12 teams that have the 16 teams that have officially been confirmed for the FIFA E World Cup, all the nations that are going to that tournament, and a little bit of controversy that's kind of surrounding that. From there, we'll go to talk about that 16th Worlds spot that is now either up for grabs or not up for grabs. We'll talk about that more. And we'll finish off talking about AJ and what he's doing to his hands before hitting overtime and ending off the episode there. So, jam-packed episode. You ready to jump right into the Esports World Cup?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So for people who aren't unfamiliar, last year at Gamers 8, it was a crew battle style, so it was a 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 tournament combined. This year, the format is there are 4 groups of 4. It is a double elimination bracket style group. So if you win 2 games, you qualify and move on to playoffs. If you lose 2 games, you're eliminated. 2 teams from each group will make a top 8 single elimination bracket. And most importantly, it is 3s only this year. So it is a straight up 3v3 tournament. I think this is good timing, with this tournament finishing about 2-ish weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks ahead of the World Championships. So the teams participating this year are Gentlemates, BDS, Vitality, G2, who will be playing without Beast Mode and instead be playing with NAS, Gen G, Space Station Gaming, Team Power, which will be competing with Joria's, Kaka, and Hunter. We have Furia, Team Secret, Falcons, Twisted Minds with the addition of Nuepo, Gladiators, XO Esports, Limitless, and Nikosi Ballers. So before we talk about some of the teams, we do it for every other event. What is your favorite name of the teams listed here?
Favorite name? I mean, okay, obviously gonna say G2, but on an unbiased name, Nikosi Ballers. I'm kind of a fan of that. I think that would probably be my favorite name that I see so far.
I would agree. I think Twisted Minds is a close second, but I think Nikosi Ballers is just a good name. But we have our teams, we have our format. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here, and that would be Beast Mode. So a couple of things, I'll lay the groundwork for this conversation. Beast Mode is now 18, and he is no longer required, he doesn't have to have someone travel with him as a minor. He is an adult technically now. He said that he did not want to travel that far by himself because his parents weren't going to go with him, which in the past they did because he was a minor. Nas will then play in Beast Mode spot. What are your kind of first thoughts on this situation?
I mean, obviously it's a bit unfortunate for the team, trying to stay in Worlds form, right? But also probably for the organization, you're losing the former MVP of the event, and you're not going to be, you're not going to be able to perform as well as you most likely will. Nas is a great pickup for them. Very mechanical player. Brings that kind of similar 1v1 ability that Beast Mode would have himself, but probably not to that level. So it'll be interesting to see how Daniel and Tomic step up to trying to fill that hole there. But I think they'll do fine. I still think they're going to easily make a good run in playoffs here, just maybe not to the extent that all the G2 fans are hoping.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge opportunity for Nas, and no disrespect to him at all. He's a fantastic player, but he's not Beast Mode. No one's Beast Mode. Those are some huge shoes to fill. He's the reigning Gamers 8 or Esports World Cup champion. He's the reigning MVP, and he's a Major 2 champion and one of the favorites for Worlds. But like, and one of the big things that, they talked about a little bit on the Chalkcast, and I saw it on Twitter. So the Esports World Cup is a little bit different from most events, as there is an org prize pool in addition to the individual prize pools for each event, right? And so there's org standings for the different orgs that have competed across all the different titles that they have at the Esports World Cup. G2 is currently sitting in 17th place. 16th place is $120,000 for directly to the org, not to the players. However, if G2 were to win the Rocket League event, that would put them in third with a shot at second. And third place in the org prize pool is $2 million. $2 million.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, like, hey, Beast Mode, we'll fly your family out there for you. That's what, like 10 grand? For potentially $2 million, like we'll get you a private jet. I mean, like I feel like they. I mean, I don't. Again, I will preface this: we don't know what went on behind closed doors. Maybe there's more at stake here. Maybe there's more to it. But what was said publicly by Beast Mode is that he doesn't want to travel that far and he doesn't want to travel alone. Full stop. Those are his reasons, which are fine. But it's also partially his job. Also, that's $2 million that G2 could potentially lose out on by putting Nas in instead of Beast Mode. And more importantly, we're 2.5 weeks out from the biggest Rocket League tournament of the entire year. And G2 are favorites. Like, I feel like, don't you think this would cut into their prep time? Like, certainly this has got to be incredible prep. It's on LAN. You're playing against, the other, 2 of the other 4 top NA teams. You're playing against 3 of the teams that will be there from EU. You're going to play, Falcons, Furia, who are all going to be at Worlds. Like, it doesn't seem like, it seems like weird timing that he wouldn't travel all that way, just for, even for the extra practice.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely something we aren't with that is not known by the public. Like, there's something more besides just not wanting to travel by themselves. Because I'm sure I'm not sure the funding or anything, but I'm sure there could have been like hey, we'll fly you out with your parents. I wonder if the parents maybe had some prior obligations that they have to attend to, or if there's something going on behind the scenes. We aren't sure, but I from what it looks like, I'm sure there's something else that we don't know. Especially being 2.5 weeks out. Like, we're close. We are very close to the big tourney, the thing that players have fought for months. So I'm at least I hope there was something more than just he doesn't want to fly by himself.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was said that his dad is out of he can't take any more time off work. He's out of vacation time, which is fine. I get it, but fly his girlfriend out with him, fly his mom out there, aunts, uncles, siblings, whatever. I mean, it's going to Riyadh, it's got to be kind of cool, right? Like, all the pros that went last year said they had a good time and it was a good event. So, maybe there's something else at stake here that we're not sure about, but it certainly feels weird to me that you're going to miss out on, a potential, it's a $500,000 prize pool, right? Like, you win, you get $200,000. Where the winner in the World Championships, the winner is getting $300,000. This is a weekend of work. You got invited to this tournament. Like, you'll at minimum you'll play 1, 2, 3, 5 matches.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something else besides just don't want to fly by themselves. If that's the case, then oh well. As long as G2 shows up prepared for Worlds, then hey, whatever works in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, this is going to be an awesome tournament to watch, just to see how teams are playing, to see if anybody's incorporated some new stuff into their gameplay. I mean, we have 12 teams that are going to be represented for the world, that are going to be at the World Championships. We got Mates, BDS, Vitality, G2, Gen G, Space Station, Power, Furia, Secret, Falcons, Gladiators, Limitless are all going to be playing in this event and then heading over to Fort Worth or wherever it is that they're doing their boot camp to get ready to compete for the World Championship. So certainly a lot at stake here. and a lot to look forward to. But with that, we have like our group layout. So for Group A, we have G2 Stride playing Limitless in round 1. We have BDS and Power facing off in the second round 1 match. So we're doing our top 4 and our winner predictions like normal, but I also think we should predict who gets out of the group. So who do you have? Which 2 teams do you have making it out of Group A?
I feel like this one's pretty self-explanatory. I'm G2 BTS making it out of that group. Power had a great showing. Maybe BDS has an off day, but I don't see Power beating BDS. So I'm saying G2 BDS out of that group.
I would tend to agree. However, I think that Power surprised BDS in game 1. Or in round 1, they lose to G2, but then BDS takes the second spot anyway. This is Power with Jorias. So, there's a little bit of that EU mindset in there. Jorias is a fantastic ones player. He's a very good player in his own right. I think that maybe this might be enough to surprise BDS. I don't know if they'll necessarily win, but I think that it will be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I think it will definitely be interesting to see. It won't be a set in stone group, unlike probably a couple of these other groups. But speaking of which, going on to Group B here, we have Falcons versus EXO Esports in the first round of Group B, along with Gen G versus Team Secret. Again, I think this is another group that could have maybe Team Secret has a great day and can try to pull off a upset over Gen G. I doubt Falcons even drops a game, maybe against Gen G, but Falcons on home turf should look pretty in form. So I got Falcons Gen G coming to the group, but I wouldn't be surprised if Team Secret tries to pull something off.
Yeah, I mean, you never know with those Brazilians, right? Like both your teams from SAM are all Brazilian. Team Secret had a great finish to the year to close out that World Championship spot, but for me, it's Falcons Gen G. Gen G just has so much to prove, and like you made your big time move to grab First Killer, and they haven't found all of the success that they've wanted, but I think that they make it out of the group. But I think Falcons takes this group running away. Group C, we have Furia playing Nikosi Ballers, and we have Vitality taking on Twisted Minds. For me, this is probably the toughest group to pick. I think Twisted Minds are a good team. I think Nuepo will only help them. He is replacing Ahmad on the roster, so I will be very interested to see what they can do. But for me, it's Vitality and Furia coming out of this group. I think Vitality's got the experience. They're still the reigning world champions, and they still have Zen. So, I will be interested to see what happens there. But Jan loves the he liked the crew battles, but he won the first Gamers 8. He's been here before. Furia have looked good all season, so I think that they go with them.
I would have to agree with Furia Vitality. Although again, Twisted Minds, a little home turf action. Who knows what happens? Especially with Nuepo on their team now. I just don't think that team's had enough time to really build a good foundation as a team. So I still got Furia coming out of this group with Vitality. Obviously, probably topping the group.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
And finally, Group D, we have Gentlemates versus Chiefs and Space Station Gaming versus Gladiators. This is probably the easiest one to take a top 2 out of the 4. I got Gentlemates and Space Station Gaming. Obviously, Gentlemates at LAN. What a surprise. They're going to do well. And Space Station Gaming, they've been in form as of late. They've looked fantastic. I would love to see them continue their form into the World Cup and into Worlds.
Yeah, I agree. It's Space Station and Gentlemates. I also misspoke earlier saying Power had Jorias. Power does not have Jorias. That's Torsas Fever Banana Head. Chiefs has Jorias. It's Kaka Hunter Jorias. So I think that maybe Chiefs take more games against mates than people expect, but I don't really see Gentlemates or Space Station, losing out here. Space Station just looks so good down the stretch. They've only gotten better and better as the season has gone on. So I'm hoping for them to continue that run of form and to make it out of the groups.
All right, so we've been kind of picking top twos, but at this point now, I believe it's time to pick our top four and our winner for the World Cup. Kyle, who do you got going top four?
Top four, I got Falcons, Gentlemates, Vitality, and Space Station Gaming.
All right.
What about you?
Close, but not quite what I got. I have Gentlemates, Falcons, G2. Obviously, I'm going to pick G2. A little bias there. Even with NOS. And then BDS coming out in my top four. And then I think you and I are pretty much in agreement on the winner at this point is going to be Team Falcons. G2 isn't there to take the trophy from them. It's home turf. Falcons has looked fantastic and has yet to have a true off day besides maybe the grand finals of London Major. I got Team Falcons taking it all.
I do as well. Also, we'd like to place the caveat on these predictions. They have not released the playoff seeding stuff. So I don't know if the winner of Group A plays the loser of Group C or the second seed of Group C or what have you, or if they're just going to do straight up game differential seeding. But so it's very possible that we come out and it's Gentlemates and Falcons play Game 1 and G2 BDS play. I don't think that would happen, but it very much could. So you could be 2 for 4 because you don't even have an opportunity. But this is what we got based on just the overall competition levels. So, but I would tend to agree with you. I think Falcons have looked really good all season. They really just had one bad series at the London Major, just happened to be in the grand finals, but they're still a fantastic team. Nothing has changed, and they will be in front of a home crowd. And I just don't think that they'll be beaten.
I agree.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on Esports World Cup before we jump over to the FIFA E World Cup?
I think we are good. Let's go head to the other World Cup, which did cause some controversy. We'll get to that here in a bit. But Kyle, if you want to take us through the 12 countries that will be competing in the FIFA E World Cup. Or not 12, sorry, 16. We were at 12.
Yeah, they were at 12 total. And they added 2 more announcements with 3 and then 1. But also, can we somebody needs to change their name? Esports World Cup, FIFA E World Cup. There's so many World Cups. Switch it up. I like Gamers 8.
Yeah, I think Gamers 8 would have been better there, but I'm sure there's some branding or sponsorship issue there that's hence the name change. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. But our 16 teams that will be competing are Saudi Arabia, Australia, Morocco, South Africa, USA, Argentina, Brazil, Belgium, England, France, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, Chile, and Turkey.
You also forgot Portugal.
I did forget Portugal. Yep, you're right. So that's the list. Do any of these nations stick out to you?
I think the biggest one that sticks out to me by of these groups, I'm looking at Turkey, I'm looking at Portugal, right? You don't hear a lot about top players from those countries, or at least top players that are making a name on the scene. So I'm curious to see what kind of team forms from those countries, which we can kind of segue into our next part there of countries that are left out. Notable countries got left out: Canada, Japan. Canada, although Canada probably would have what people would call the old head team: Squishy Muffins, Jane Apps, and then I can't think of a third off the top of my head, but
maybe
notable players, maybe Sad Junior,
maybe
notable
Taroko.
players being left out there. And then Japan, obviously, a good chunk of the APAC region is Japanese, so kind of surprised to see them left out there.
I think 65% of the player base in the APAC region is Japanese players. Not just the professional level, but all Rocket League players in the APAC region, 65% of them are Japanese.
Yeah, so definitely some interesting choices. Obviously we won't really know the reasoning behind everything, but hopefully this will be an event that gets continued through the years, and we'll get to see this a little more often.
Yeah. And like, I don't mean to demean Turkey or Portugal as, nations for competitive Rocket League, but this, like, the only really Turkish player that I can think of will be Fades, who qualified for RLCS in OCE. But, like, there's not a whole lot that's coming to mind for me in terms of Turkish players. And then in Portugal, you have like a Chronic and Exper, the coach. But, like, the coach, I don't see enough RLCS LAN caliber talent for Portugal or Turkey, where you do with like Canada and maybe not Japan, but at least there's like an RLCS caliber team that you could field out of Japan. So I that's kind of my two big points for that. But in no means do I want to try to bring down these regions. I just am confused by the choice.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Kind of backing off of like the coach selection there, each region or each nation is going to have a manager that will select the teams for the competition. I'm curious. The manager position is an open sign up, so I'm curious like what criteria there is for that. How are they to determining who would be a better fit for the roster, whether it's accolades, whether it's current experience, whether it's just hole in the Rocket League community. I'm not sure. I'll be curious to see who gets selected as each country's manager, especially for some of the bigger countries, USA, France, England, Germany, these bigger countries. I'm curious to see who comes out of there. And then also the teams are selected by qualifier or just by picking. So I'm curious to see, obviously for those bigger regions, do you go through the qualifier process, or do you just walk up to G2, you walk up to Harmon Core and be like, hey, let's do this. So I'm curious to see how that gets handled there.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I know the open manager signups, it was name and email. You put that in and you were officially in the pool. You got an email with like some application stuff to fill out additional information, like nation and all that stuff. But I don't know the criteria on how they picked who they picked or didn't pick who they didn't pick. So like, it's conceivably possible that they picked like, potentially not the best person for the job, right? So like, I think Sathy's done a great job with G2. I think that Chrome has done a good job with Gen G. Like, these are all people that I think would be good managers for like the US. But like, I don't know what the criteria is to pick the people that they did. So I would be intrigued to see what happens there. And like you said, to see how the teams are picked. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do like a qualifier or something. That's just free content for everybody. But, at the end of the day, I'm not part of the selection process or the committee that's doing making any of the decisions, though I would love to be. That would be awesome. But until more information comes out about how the managers were picked and how the teams are going to be picked, we won't really know much more, unfortunately.
And that does it for the second World Cup for what we have. Do you have any other thoughts about the FIFA E World Cup? My only question is, when can I get a jersey? Please. I need it.
Inject that directly into my veins.
Insert the meme of slamming a credit card on the desk. I need it. I need it now.
It's time again. We got another small update on the 16th world spot. We've talked about it last week. It's been talked about on Twitter. It's been talked about in our Discord. For people who didn't catch last episode, who haven't seen it, anything from MENA forfeited their world championship spot, and due to roster moves by teams not expected to be in contention for the world championships, and now time constraints, Team Falcons will be the only MENA team competing. The narrow timeline in which they found out the spot would be forfeited really slimmed down teams who could potentially take their spot, as there now is not enough time for someone to get a visa in time to make it to Fort Worth for the World Championships. So it kind of seems like there's two options here. sending former Luminosity, which is Red's Magic Cheese. There's no need for a visa. They're 5th seed in NA. They don't have to, like, they're already in the US. Like, it just seems like the easiest path in terms of, like, bringing in a person to fill that spot. The second option, which unfortunately as of right now kind of seems to be the leading candidate, would be to play out the tournament with 15 teams, and any team who plays, you know, the team that would be in anything spot would get a free 3-0 win, which, you know, in and of itself isn't amazing. And the third option, but like I have to stress this so much, that it's way, 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 way less likely, like probably less than 1% from happening, but having an impromptu mini wild card for the final spot. So bringing, you know, whatever, like 5th through 8th from, you know, from each major region, and, you know, 3rd and 4th from the minor regions to compete for this last world spot. Like, visa issues would be a nightmare, and I don't even know how that would be possible. But like, you could do potentially a smaller tournament for NA teams to get in, but like, it's just I don't see that as a realistic possibility, unfortunately. So, what are your thoughts on all of the goings on of this 16th spot?
I mean, yeah, the copium in me, give me wild card, give me death. It's probably not gonna happen. Like, I would not bet. Do not bet the over. We are betting the under. Not gonna happen. But I mean, I would love. I just send a team, please, Silex. I don't care if it's LG. I don't care if it's Oxygen. Just send a team. Do not turn that into a buy. It's gonna make everything weird. There's gonna be so much drama about, oh, this team got lucky because they got anything and they got the free win. You know, I just send a team.
I just don't want to hear the Mickey run.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to hear all the Twitter posts of, oh, this team got a Mickey run. Oh, you know, this team got super lucky and that's the reason they won the world championship. Yada yada yada. Like, no one wants to hear it. Just send a team. We don't care who.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one. It seems the most likely scenario, unfortunately, and AJ did call this, would be to run it with 15 teams. But like, as a fan, I'm really hoping that they just end up sending a team. It's weird to have 15 teams for an event that you scheduled 16 teams to have. And like, maybe in the future you potentially think about having like a designated like stand-in team. Like, you're the first, like, maybe do it at like the second major or something like that. Like, hey, you're the alternate. Like, you're the first alternate in case something happens to one of these teams or visa issues happen or something like that. So if they can't make it, then you're in. I don't know. Hopefully this never happens again, but you know, it's never a bad thing to be prepared for the worst, in my opinion.
Agree.
So that's, as of right now, that's all the information we have on this 16th world spot, unfortunately. So we'll keep you posted with any other information that we hear. I'm sure it'll be on Twitter. I'm sure we'll tweet about it on Twitter if something happens or if anything is announced. But in the meantime, we're just in a hurry up and wait kind of situation here. So we will be waiting with bated breath to hear what Epic Psionics Blast decide to do with this spot.
All right. And moving on to our next section here, a bit of an odd section. I never thought I'd be talking about this on our podcast here. But
did I?
It was floated around on Twitter, and we saw more from AJ himself. But AJ recently decided to get Botox, and now most of you thinking Botox, you know, you're thinking, you know, make the cheeks look a little nicer, you know, make that forehead look a little smaller, all that kind of stuff. No, in this case, Botox. In this regard, was injections in AJ's hands to prevent sweating. I didn't know this was even a thing, so kind of cool to hear about. Don't know how you find out about this or where you would go to do this, but essentially, AJ spent roughly $500 to go get injection in his hands that prevents sweating. Now, this is apparently a pretty common thing for people that have the money to do it, but also have, you know, health issues when it comes to over sweating. I mean, it's interesting. I am curious to see, like, is this considered a PED? Is this a getting an advantage on the league, or would this be classified under similar cases to like medical marijuana? It's something that is more medicinal. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm curious just to see like if all of a sudden we're going to see an uptick in his performance, if that's actually because his hands aren't as sweaty or if it's placebo. But definitely quite an interesting thing to hear. What are your thoughts on it, K-Cube?
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly something like one of the, I don't know how I want to put this. One of the like, I don't want to say not serious because this is serious for AJ. This is certainly something that we've never seen in the scene before, but like, this is like very much like a positive that was on the timeline instead of like the anything drama, some other stuff that we've been seeing about, throughout the scene. But so AJ posted the picture of his hands with all the injection marks, and he was answering questions in the replies. So, like one of them, my friend wants to know if this works on butt sweat too, and AJ said, I'm pretty sure it actually does. Can't tell this is dedication or just sad. Well, it may be my job, and it may have been a big enough problem to get in the way of my job. He said he's tried chalk, he's tried, a lot of different things that have tried to mitigate it, but this has become a big problem for him. But he did say, I don't recommend unless you absolutely need it like I did. It lasts 6 months and it was about $500. I got 25 units in each hand. I do not regret it even a tiny bit. I regret not doing this sooner. I'll go back in 6 months for another set of shots. So
yeah, if you got the income for it and you have the need for it, obviously it's a great option. It's just not really heard of in the esport world, so it's interesting to see everyone's takes on it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be interesting. So like the timing of this was what surprised me a little bit, right? Because like, I mean, it's August, right? We're probably not going to be competing again like for RLCS until the end of January, and that that's 4-ish months from now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe he timed it to try and like be in between split 1 and split 2 for next season. So like going back, but like also this gives him some time to, to go in the lab and, perfect some stuff and see how well it works and, to kind of see how it shakes out for him. But, this is like, you talked about it, right? Like a performance enhancing drug, and like, he's the first person to do it, but this may be like the norm. Moving forward for a lot of people, like it is his job. And if the sweaty hands are getting in the way of him performing at the highest level and, doing his job, then by all means, like go for it. Like you hear about like professional conventional athletes, like LeBron and Brady, when they were, at like in their careers, like spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars like on recovery on their body, like making sure they can stay on top of their craft. I don't see any reason why this can't be the same.
I completely agree. I mean, important thing, not a lot of people realize, but important thing in esports is recovery and taking care of yourself. You don't want to turn into the gremlin that's in the dark 24/7 and just doing nothing but gaming. You got to take care of your body, take care of your mind. So hopefully this kind of helps spark those conversations that people need to have about esports. And I'm curious to see what it leads to in the future.
Me too. I'm also like, congratulations to people of the Rocket League community for not just like memeing this. I'm sure like it did get memed a little bit, and they did, there's some people that were coming for him and making fun of him, but like for the most part, I feel like this was like pretty like, I don't know if well received is the right word, but like people like received it with open arms and like were just curious more than anything, which I think was kind of cool to see. So I will be interested to see, how this ages.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to be voice crack there. I'm curious to see how it ages, but I do agree that the Rocket League community received it very well, from far better than what I was expecting.
Me as well. But before we get into overtime, is there anything that you wanted to add about AJ and his hands and his Botox, the Esports World Cup, the 16th World Championship spot, or anything else Rocket League related?
I'm so ready for Rocket League to come back and to spend my time watching Rocket League. I'm so excited. I'm ready. I need it.
Yeah. So Also, like by the time you're listening to this, like this episode will go live as it normally does on Thursday morning. With that being said, Rocket League most likely will be back. Our first match is G2 Limitless, which will take place in 9 hours. 9 hours from now, so starts at, unfortunately, like 8 in the morning is when the first matches start for the Esports World Cup. But there is Rocket League back. It's back.
That's all that matters, as long as it's back. I work the 9 to 5, right? Put it on the second monitor, call it a day. We're chilling. We're watching Rocket League. We're getting work done. I'm ready for it.
Hell yeah. But with that, we actually do have some. We're gonna send us into overtime, and we got some questions from some of our listeners, including a couple people from the MLE Sharks Discord server. So the first question from Kazaguri: what does the environment feel like leading up to a grand final at LAN?
At LAN, Oh, jeez. Now, I'm assuming in this case we're probably more speaking on the spectator side of things.
Yeah, that's what I would assume too.
Yeah, but I think the environment, it's just that anticipation. Even if we're not players, but we're loyal fans to the esport. We're excited to see the best of the best. Some of us who have had past experiences with World Championships and Grand Finals in general. That electric feeling, the crowd going crazy, going ballistic, crazy OTs, game sevens. I mean, it's a feeling you always want to have, you always want to relive. So I definitely, that electricity is probably a good way to describe it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that it's even more so and I'm sorry to bring it up. I really, really am. But 2 years ago when Worlds was back at, was back at Dickies, or was at Dickies for the first time, the hype leading up to that was so big because there was an NA team in the finals, right? And, we didn't really get that in Boston. We didn't get it, in a lot of the events recently. So it's a little bit different when the hometown, when there's a team from the host nation, than if there's not. But even still, the electricity is palpable. And in my opinion, the Stacks intro is really what gets me going, gives me the goosebumps, gets everybody pumped. It's the epitome of LAN Rocket League for me. It's a feeling that I hope every fan of Rocket League can experience at least once. And, it's truly, truly one of the things that makes Championship Sunday so fantastic.
Absolutely agree. Okay. Moving on to our next question here from Spike. There's a two-part to Kazaguri here. I just realized. We'll go back to that here. If you've met any pros, how were they to talk to you? And this is more in the wild, not some meet and greet.
Or in an interview like we've talked to a lot of pros for.
Yeah. How's it to talk to you? I don't want to make it sound like they're a different breed almost, like it's a different species kind of thing. They're human. They're just just having a conversation. But every player has their own kind of air to them in the sense of how they compose themselves in an interview, especially if they're super PR trained, you'll be able to kind of tell the difference than just a 18-year-old just answering questions. So it really depends on who you talk to. There's so many different personalities in the scene that it's you never get the same.
Yeah, I mean, I know AJ would say he lived in the same building with a lot of the V1 players, and he said Com is as nice as everyone has said. He's just genuinely a nice person, so I know he'd want that out there. But the big one that sticks out for me is at the last World Championships in Fort Worth, the last one in the U.S. at least. I had the opportunity to meet Reddles outside the venue. I was also talking to the Renegades coach at that time outside, and I got a picture with Reddles, and come to find out that's Reddles right after he got kicked from Space Station, but before it went public. And they had just been eliminated, and he had just been kicked from his team. and he still took the time to talk and take a picture. Like, I can't say enough good things about Reddles and about, how he conducted himself. Like, he looked a little upset, and like that's to be completely understood. But like, there's a guy who realizes like, what he's doing, and he really kind of swallowed the pride, swallowed the anger and frustration, and had a good interaction. And like, I just can't say enough good things about him. So props to Reddles again. And most of the pros that you'll talk to, if you run into them in person, are genuinely nice people.
Absolutely agree.
But next question from Spike: what kind of cereal do you eat and why?
All right, so my go-to cereal, I'm a bit of a I got a sweet tooth, love sweet stuff. Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
One of the best cereals out there. You will never be able to change my mind.
I said top 3 cereal all time.
Easily. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I'm also a big fan of the Cap'n Crunch with berries especially.
Okay.
Not the Oops All Berries, it's a little too much. Give me the Cap'n Crunch with berries, just a little crunch, a little berry, good combo.
Okay. I'm taking Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms, the classic, the OG.
So we're gonna go off the deep end here for a minute, but you have to bear with me.
Oh boy.
If I'm gonna eat cereal, I eat dry cereal. But I'm also
that's understandable.
I'm also lactose intolerant and I can't have milk. So
you're forced to eat dry cereal.
It's either that or like almond milk, and I I didn't grow up eating almond milk or any of the other milk substitutes, and so it just feels weird to me. I always just had dry cereal, and so like the Lucky Charms is the go-to for me because I like the marshmallows.
Yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is up there for me as well, and then I could go for some Honey Nut Cheerios occasionally too, but that's like a not like if the 3 boxes are there, I'm taking Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Lucky Charms.
Yeah, so the Honey Nut Cheerios, very niche. It's one of those like, man, I really want cereal, but there's nothing in the cabinet. You're at your grandparents, you open the cabinet and there's just that old box of Honey Nut Cheerios. It hits every now and then. Sometimes you just got to go for it.
I feel like I got to go honorable mention Apple Jacks though.
You do, yes. Apple Jacks are so good. They were just randomly you get that like 3-day period where you're just slamming Apple Jacks and then you don't touch them again.
It's like the Minecraft fix, right? You get like Apple Jacks, and you're like, I'm good. And then like, a year later, Apple Jacks. Everybody has
very
it.
much like, very much like the Minecraft fix.
The next question is from Deathman. It's, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Excited for Worlds. Life's in a good place. Got the setup fully set up, so feel nice and at home. Doing pretty good. How about yourself, Kyle? How are you doing?
We're doing good. I can't like the days cannot go by quick enough for us to head to Worlds. I was looking at it. So after the episode goes live, tomorrow morning on the 22nd, we have 1, 2, 3 episodes until the World Championships, including one that will go live the Thursday of the World Championships.
Let's go. We're so close.
We're so almost back in person.
So almost back, correct? Yes.
But we got some esports World Cup to tide us over. We got some some questions that we're still looking for answers to, and we got a couple more episodes that hopefully we can bring in some bangers to send us off to Worlds. But I'm very excited for that, and I can't wait to see everybody in person. Our last overtime question comes from Hazy Powers. He said, "It's always what happened to Zen. Where are your comms, Zen? But no one ever asks." How is Zen? So, how is Zen?
I think Zen's doing good. Probably could be doing better, but I think he's doing just fine. I think he's excited.
I think so too. I think he's in Riyadh right now. I would hope he's in Riyadh right now.
I would hope, yeah.
So it might be a busy offseason for Zen here as he competes at the Esports World Cup. He goes to the World Championships. In all likelihood, I can't imagine that he wouldn't. Competes for France in the FIFA E-World Cup. So, and then probably, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but most likely Rocket League will be taking place in the 2025 Olympics esports, and I would imagine he probably competes for France in that as well.
I would imagine. I can't, I could not see a team that doesn't have arguably one of the best players in the world on its team. So,
yeah. My real question though, what is the Zen hair going to look like for Worlds?
gotta bring back the perm. I feel like the perm had a crazy buff, you know?
It was
Let's
the
get
NA buff.
It was the NA perm buff. I think we need to bring it back. Honestly, I liked it better on Zen at that point too. Usually not like the perms, but he made it work. He made it work. So
He rocked
Zen,
it for sure.
bring back the perm buff, bro. You will do fantastic with it.
Yeah, Zen, if you're listening, bring back the perm. But did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up for today?
I think I'm good on my end.
Okay. Well, with that, we'd like to thank you guys so much for listening. We'd like to please remind you to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, join our Discords, and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our Twitch, our TikTok, and our merch store. We may add our signature world sticker that we're going to be giving away to the website. I will have to wait and see on that one. But, if you're going to Worlds, come and find us. We'll give you a sticker, a couple stickers, actually. We have different ones. But for all of these links and more, they can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball.
Thanks for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website at boostoverball.com.